Three Grots in a Vox is intended for a mature audience. This means there will be crude language and discussions of adult themes, especially if we're talking about Tactical Marines or Gabriel Seth. Viewer discretion is not only advised but encouraged. All opinions are our own and often given for humorous purposes. Any advice is given largely for entertainment purposes and should probably be ignored.
Wow, it looks
But
like
if you do learn
Crime
something
Watch
useful,
pictures.
count it as a win.
Stills from Crime Watch. Have you seen these three reprobates?
Yep. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Three Grots do 90s movies. This will be our second best live stream we've ever done, I guess.
Please call and report these idiots to the police. Yeah, something. Hello,
Cool.
Hi James, hey Ardeen. It's been
People
a while.
are starting to tune in. That's good. Good evening.
They
Good
are.
evening.
Because we're live. Maybe because we're live. Maybe despite us being live. Who knows?
Right, so before we do anything else, I've got to do a disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
All right, do the disclaimer.
I'm still eating my dinner.
Okay.
Is that it?
That's
okay.
it. And I've got beer.
Oh, what's a beer? Tell us a beer.
It's called Crystal Ship. It's from Patworth Brewery, which is my little local brewery. And it's quite a nice one. I've had this before, but I normally have it like fresh. So I don't really get a bottle very often.
Should I crack some of my duty free and see how that goes?
Oh, duty free. What did you buy?
Yeah, I got a nice litre bottle of this on the way back from the Netherlands through the Channel Tunnel.
I was going to say Distiller's Reserve. Yeah,
nice,
nice.
A nice single malt Glenlivet there. This will hopefully be.
We've discussed this before, but I know absolutely nothing about whiskey, other than yep, that's definitely whiskey. Is kind of the limit of.
I'm not a fan of the peaty ones, the smoky ones. I tend to go for the ones that are a bit more.
Yeah, I'm more of a fan of
say fruity.
Sweet or fruity whiskey. How do you drink your whiskey? You just go straight, or ice, or water, or what do you do?
So the first taste, I go straight just to see what it's like. Preferably, I'd put 2 or 3 drops of water in as well, just to dial it back and get rid of some of the little bite of the alcohol in there and taste more of the flavour to it. But for the first one, I'll just give it a go and see how it feels.
Cool. Yeah, that's pretty much the Scottish way of drinking it. So that's
do you
good.
guys remember the Dylan Moran sketch about wine? Because that always comes to mind when we're having these sort of discussions.
No.
So he goes, there's only 2 kinds of wine. There's the that's horrible. That's quite nice. And all right, occasionally there's one more. It's a very subtle one, and it kind of like a actually no, that's quite nice.
Fair enough. I remind that scene from Hot Fuzz where he asks what kind of wine they've got. You can see a wine list and they go, we got red and we got white.
It just every time we start talking about whiskey, it just reminds me of that one. Yeah, the only couple of kinds. That's quite nice, actually.
Austin Powers on Netflix at the moment as well. Is it on my list of doom? I don't think it made. It's not our list. It's not on my list. It's our list. It's all the things that we named.
We didn't put Austin Powers on there, no.
No, we didn't.
Okay. What a pity, because that would definitely define the 90s.
Oh, absolutely. Right. So the first thing we've got, so actually vaguely getting started, I'll put everything in OK until we decide to move it.
Mm-hmm.
First thing we've got is Batman Returns.
That's the one with Danny DeVito, right?
That's the one with Danny DeVito,
the Penguin
Pfeiffer,
mobile.
Christopher Walken, the Penguin mobile, Michael Keaton, the one that's set at Christmas. That one.
Christopher Walken was in it.
Yeah.
Christopher Walken was the actual villain in the whole film.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen that movie, I guess.
He was the guy who owned the big department store that Selena Kyle worked at.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And he's the one who screwed over the Penguin and made him go completely nuts, even though he was mostly nuts to begin with.
I like Keaton as Batman.
I think, and this was Tim Burton still, wasn't it?
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. And Danny Elfman's soundtrack that fled straight into the cartoon series. It is one of the best Christmas movies ever. I totally agree, Matt. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
They were playing this. They replayed this at the cinema last year in their Christmas movie run-up things alongside Die Hard and everything else. And
I'd happily put it alongside Die Hard as one of the greatest Christmas movies ever.
Yeah. Obviously, I have Michelle Pfeiffer in skin-tight black latex as well. So that fueled a lot of...
that definitely defined my 90s.
Legendary moments, yeah.
Alongside Starship Troopers, and which is that on the list?
Yeah, it's on the list, mate. Of course, it's on the list. All 3 of us nominated that one. That's not going to be a difficult one.
I don't know. I'm going to go first on this one, and I'm going to say it's absolutely 90s defining.
I don't think it's quite 90s defining for me. It is absolutely an awesome, amazing film, but I don't think it sort of like is right up there with when you think about the 90s. You straight away think about this. There's only one film on this list that immediately jumps out at me as being 90s defining, but we'll argue that when we get to all the others, I suppose.
I don't have a strong opinion on this because it's 20-some years since I've seen it. So you guys
say that about all of these, or most of these at least, I think.
Maybe. I'm not remembering this one all that well, so I'm going to say you guys choose where it goes.
Okay, I put it in awesome.
Yeah? Okay, let's put it in there.
Because he can't remember it.
Yeah, Tony's got his mouth
and it can't be 90s defining, can it?
No, that's a fair point. Well made. Yeah, true. All right, moving on. We've got Wesley Snipes as a film that was told to me at the time as being the first black major superhero movie. It was a big deal for that, which is Blade.
It was. It also really showed that Marvel superhero movies could be grown-up movies as well, because it wasn't a kids' film; it was an adult film.
It was the same sort of time-ish as X-Men, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
I think it's a brilliant film as well. It's got fantastic
the initial
soundtrack.
Opening blood rave scene is just so iconic.
Some of the CG's dated a bit. If you watch it recently, which I did because I love this film, I watch it quite a lot. The bit at the end when they're like fighting,
the blood god version of Stephen Dorff,
yeah, and he sticks in with the little needles that make him swell up.
Yep,
that's some of the worst CG of the 90s.
John, have you even seen this?
I have, and I actually really enjoy it, and I thought it was an awesome movie. I'm just trying to remember, because, again, it's a long time since I've seen it. Who was the old guy that was like Blade's mentor with the grey hair?
The character's name was Whistler. I can't remember
who played him. Do you remember who played him? No? I have a feeling he looks a bit like Kurt Russell, or that's what I've got in my head, but it's not Kurt Russell.
Was it Jeff What's-His-Face from Drop?
Oh, yeah, I think it was.
I might be, yeah.
Jeff Bridges. It's Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah. I think this was an awesome movie. I liked it.
I completely agree, 100%. I don't think it's 90s defining, but it's absolutely amazing.
Yes, go for it.
It was, again, another one that I watched as a teenager and thought, wow, this is so cool. It was so violent and stabby and awesome soundtrack.
In our sort of like black trench coat wearing sort of
era. I did own a black trench coat, but that was due to another movie on this list and not this one.
I still own one, and I need to brush it down and give it some good DLC at some point.
I don't own one, and my wife won't let me have one because, reasons, and probably good reasons.
You're a grown parent these days.
I'm an adult.
Should be beyond such immature tact.
I looked bloody stupid at the time, and I just look more bloody stupid now.
Chris Christopherson, that was a guy. That you remember it? I remember seeing the name somewhere. So that was a guy.
Okay. But a good movie, really, and like you said, probably gave Marvel some hope as it could be good. I thought they were redoing Blade or something.
They are. It's stuck in limbo. Mahashasha Ali. I don't remember exactly how.
Mashhad Ali or something.
Is sort of like helming it. He said he wants to play Blade. He supposedly approached Kevin Feige and said, "I want to play Blade. Let's make a Blade movie." And they did, but they keep losing actors and they keep losing directors and they keep having problems with the scripts and going back.
Rewritten about 3 times or something.
Yeah, something like that. It's not anytime soon.
On
that, they have cast Silver Surfer apparently for the Fantastic Four movie out next year.
I know that they had some problems because Wesley Snipes wanted to do the next Blade film and he got all arsey about not being in the next Blade film. I was like, I'm getting old now. He did, yeah, but I also know that in the 3rd Blade film, he did things like refusing to open his eyes, so they had to CG on eyes and things like that. So after he was such an appalling diva for the making of the last Blade film, I'm not really surprised they didn't want him back for the next one.
There's a Robin Hood movie on this list, I'll have you know. We'll get there. There's no Waterworld or Postman. Neither of us thought...
Waterworld is not going on that list.
None of us thought to nominate it for this list. So anyway,
I've still never actually seen Waterworld.
You've never seen Waterworld? All right, so it's worth a watch.
It's worth it. It definitely fits in the 4th category of so bad it's good.
Okay. It was a Scottish movie.
One up is Braveheart, which was nominated by somebody in this channel who shall remain Scottless.
I don't like that film. I think it's rubbish.
Do you?
Yeah, go on, John. You tell us why I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a great film. I think it's a good film. So I'm not actually sure it's worthy of awesome. It's just the historical accuracies in it are horrific. Because the one battle that the Scots win in that movie is called the Battle of Stirling Bridge, and there's no bridge in the battle. So that's a problem. And to be fair, the only reason Scotland won that battle is because all the English went on the bridge, and the weight of all the Englishmen made the bridge fall into the river, and that's why we won the battle. It's not like the Scottish fought heroically. No, the fucking bridge fell in the water. So
the bit that I don't like particularly, because it's historical inaccuracy is my issue with it as well.
Yeah.
Is the fact that they've changed some ages of people. So in this one, it's sort of like does William Wallace seduces the Queen, but the Queen was like 6 years old at that
time. I like there's a couple of bits in the movie that are rousing for me, like when they're getting all the Highland clans together and they're playing the bagpipes and stuff. That's very patriotic.
Take our lives, but
exactly.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's
housing, rabble raising stuff. It's just wildly inaccurate.
Poor Scottish workmanship defeated the English. Yeah, pretty much, I guess. So I enjoy it for it's a popcorn movie.
Yeah,
but I don't know if
I wouldn't call it bad. It's good. It's a well-ish done epic that does what it's supposed to do. I wouldn't call it great.
No, and I think I really enjoyed it the first time I watched it, and I do think the bit where we all pick up our kilts and moon you is actually quite accurate. So
I'm not sure it is. Didn't I read somewhere that at that time they didn't wear kilts and the kilts?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Wearing trousers.
No, but I mean, like in the current day and age, if you are wearing a kilt, that is something you will do.
So I think in the current day and age, more Americans wear kilts than Scottish people do.
As we go through and we get when we lose films and there's like this huge black bar underneath, do I resize the window? Is that going to mess your filming up or?
I hope it won't. We're live. We'll figure it out. You know,
right,
shit happens on live.
Brilliant, cool. Right, next up is The Crow, the original. I mean,
I feel like that was a great movie.
It was a great movie. It wasn't genre defining. I mean, it was the whole Brandon Lee thing was quite sad.
Jason Lee.
Jason Lee, sorry.
Was it Jason Lee?
I thought it was Brandon Lee.
Brandon Lee, sorry.
Jason I don't know, I could be wrong.
No, Jason was a different movie I'm thinking of. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, Brandon Lee. The thing with the gun. Yeah.
But it's important. And the film...
It's part of the legend of it. It's absolutely legendary.
Yeah.
I think it's better than okay than this one.
I don't know. I'd be inclined because of its status to put it up in defining the 90s. To be honest,
I mean, it certainly defines what goths look like.
All sort of.
Also, I was going to say its art style defined movies after it. Like I feel like Sin City was like sort of that. You know, like a sort of washed out black and white feel, because it's not a black and white movie, but there are scenes that feel like they are almost washed out.
The philosophy of it, the hopelessness, but also the hope at the same time. The music, all of it. It's amazingly done. It's absolutely a work of art, in my opinion.
It was. I'm not sure I particularly enjoyed it.
And I would either put it in okay, or I'd put it in defining the 90s. I wouldn't really say it was an awesome film in its own right.
Because it defined what came after it. It's just I didn't particularly enjoy the movie because it felt like a bit of a Spawn rip-off.
I mean, Spawn was bad.
I like Spawn a lot more. Spawn was so bad, it's good.
I'll take your word on that. That's fair enough. I wouldn't go that far, but
I like the comics. But
yeah, okay.
I'm a big comic book fan, but yeah.
Have you seen the new Crow trailer?
I haven't actually.
I have, yeah.
What do you think?
I think that something should be probably left alone.
I think I'll go see it. I think I'll absolutely go see it.
Only because you've got a Cineworld pass, so it doesn't cost you anything anyway. So you might as well go and use it.
Yeah, that's true, but it does cost me time, and there are
films. You have to put your own money in it because it's now about £10 a ticket.
Yeah, I'd go see it.
You still pay £20 for you and your partner to go and see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, then that says something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right, I think it's got to go in define the 90s.
But yeah, okay.
Yeah, cool. I think it's got to go and define the 90s just because it literally did define the 90s, whether I like the movie or not.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
All right, moving on a similar sort of bent, but in a very different way. There's a film called Dark City, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people hadn't heard of this.
I like it a lot more than The Crow.
As a film, I adore it. I completely agree. John, are you aware of it? Have you seen it?
I've never seen it. Sorry.
As a piece of artistic filmography, whatever it's filmography, it's very well done as well.
So you got Rufus Sewell in the main role. You got David Sutherland or Kiefer Sutherland, in it as a supporting role. Jennifer Connelly as supporting role love interest, and Richard O'Brien in it as one of the baddies, and he plays it so well. And the idea is you're in this city where it's always dark. There's never light, and weird things happen, and people are being messed with. And the city changes, and is that an alien or not? And what's happening here? Oh, this is weird. There's a bit of a film noir detective vibe going on with it, and it is so good. I love it. It's great.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a cyberpunky feel to it at times as well, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
Not with kind of it's not all neons and stuff like that. I don't mean quite in that respect, but more in like a
feel and attitude.
Yeah. It's an incredible piece of cinema, and I do think that it did define the 90s again in a similar way to, because we had things coming off the back of that, things like Johnny Mnemonic and
the Crow had a lot more public sort of exposure than Dark City did.
They did, but they took from that movie quite a lot. Like someone Highlands who said, likely to inform the Matrix to an extent, and I think he's probably right.
Yeah, potentially.
There was definitely a lot of the Matrix. A lot of Dark City in the Matrix.
I'd put it in awesome movie. John hasn't seen it, so he's got no real
opinion on it.
Idea.
I think it was defining because of the artistic impact that it had, and it was an awesome movie.
I don't think it had enough grab in popular psyche and views to make it 90s defining. Really, a lot of people still don't know about it.
Well, case in point, I guess.
But then a lot of people don't know about Metropolis, but without Metropolis, we wouldn't have a lot of things.
Yeah, okay.
Have you seen Metropolis?
No.
But without it, we wouldn't have so much of things like Ghost in the Shell, more cyberpunk. It really introduced that kind of sci-fi future. So all of those things trace their roots back to it. So whether you've seen it or not, it doesn't change whether it's having an impact.
John, break the tie. Where are we putting it?
If one person thinks it's defining, then it probably needs to go defining. Right?
All right. Okay.
I'm not going to do it.
We're all going to have.
Remember the 80s one when I put everything in S tier?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a reason why I've phrased these tier titles the way I have.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's necessarily the best film to watch on this list. A little bit like The Crow. It's a great film, but I do think that if we're measuring based on impact, that it was certainly much more.
Definitely a cult following kind of film. Yeah, I'd agree with that. That makes sense. Cheers, Jason. Right. Moving on then to Event Horizon.
I've not seen it either.
It's a 40 movie, John. Why haven't you seen it?
It's a horror film.
This is a horror. Right, I was going to say this is what my wife says to me all the time. She's like, she asks me like, "Have you seen this? Have you seen that?" And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "What did you do?" I was like, "Played video games."
It's blooming Warhammer 40k the movie, mate.
Literally set in Warhammer 40,000 universe.
I've heard a lot of people say that.
I'm not shitting you. So the premise is you got this spaceship that is going out beyond the solar system and jumps into some extra dimensional space and then comes back with nobody on board years later. They send an investigative team out to this spaceship, which has gone to the warp and has come back possessed by demons.
So yeah, it sounds a lot like Doom, I guess.
There's a little bit of Doom in there, yeah.
Yeah. Doom's a lot more sort of gratuitous video gamey. This is actual horror.
Okay.
And it's a really good horror movie.
Well, I would say this is a funny one because it was clearly inspired by, and there is a lot of 40k in it, and that's they've always wore that on the sleeve. But I also think that a lot of the horror from this also then later inspired a lot of Warhammer 40k. It kind of like went cyclically.
Yeah.
And this is one of the times when we saw oh crap, what's his name? The guy who played Alan Grant.
Sam Neill or Lawrence
Sam Neill,
yeah.
Sam Neill being a really scary bad guy.
Oh, Sam Neill's amazing. I've got all the time in the world for him.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Yep.
Being just awesome.
Yep. And a bunch of other people who we tend to forget because they're not Sam Neill or Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mainly.
So yeah.
I made a mistake of watching this at my grandparents' house at like 11 or 12 at night when they'd both gone to bed in the main room on the big TV, and I got my granddad's stereo with these two humongous speakers. I hooked the TV up into these speakers, put one on my left-hand side, one on my right-hand side, and I scared myself shitless.
It's a scary film.
It was an experience.
Yeah. One of the best horror sci-fi. I'd easily put it up there with Alien.
You made me watch The Thing and took the piss out of me because I hadn't watched it. John, you need to watch this, all right?
Okay.
This is your punishment for what you put me through with The Thing. Yeah.
Okay. The Thing was a great movie, to be fair.
Thing is a great movie,
Yeah,
but The Event Horizon's also an incredibly great movie.
All right,
But there's only a few more that I haven't seen, so...
Okay, there's a few in here I haven't seen, to be fair.
There's one or two, I think, but I'm
so
not
where you
really
put in Event Horizon?
Yeah. I'd put it in awesome movie. I don't think it's quite 90s defining, but it's definitely horror film defining.
It's definitely sci-fi horror film defining as well, isn't it? And, you know, we do a lot of 40K on this channel, and it's certainly influenced a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
So
argument?
I want to put it up, but I'm also afraid that we're going to put too much up, and you can't everything can't define the 90s.
Fair enough. I'm trying to leave the defines the 90s for like the seriously iconic stuff.
Yeah.
Because the only film in here that's a shoe-in for defines the 90s, as far as I'm concerned, is The Matrix.
I don't want to talk about it yet because it's not that time.
Fair
Okay.
enough. All right, then. Let's do the next one then. Fargo. John?
I think it was pretty
You nominated
awesome.
this, and
I
haven't
liked
seen
it. Okay. It's interesting because it feels like very, very slow, and it keeps you guessing all the way through. I found this one oddly and captivating, and at the end of it, I just thought, yeah, that was a pretty awesome movie.
Okay.
I thought it was boring.
Okay.
So I've googled it afterwards, and it's what, some kind of a murder mystery sort of film or something?
Yeah. Well, then I guess we could split the difference and just say it's okay. It's a pity that you haven't seen it. You could have been the tide vote.
Yeah.
Well,
there we go.
I know. It's supposedly it's important. It's a bit like, you know, I said earlier about Metropolis, and it's things like, so it was like Citizen Kane is one of the best movies ever, and I've seen Citizen Kane, and I thought that was boring as well.
To be fair, I thought Citizen Kane was pretty boring as well.
Films that are always critically reviewed and influential and stuff are very rarely fun in my experience.
Yeah, so I didn't enjoy the movie. I don't feel that it really had that much impact on anything around it either.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it had a lot of impact. I just
than
thought it was quite an interesting movie.
Honestly, I'm aware of the name. Before you nominated it for this, I knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
Leave it as okay then. It's a good movie.
Okay, fair enough. Cool.
I would say if it's ever on late night, I would watch it. I'd watch it again.
Matthew said Martin Freeman did it better in the TV series, and I do agree with that. I like the TV series a lot more than I like the movie.
Okay.
TV series, but yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, there is.
Next one is Luc Besson's The Fifth Element with Bruce Willis, Mila Jovovich, and Gary Oldman.
Great movie. Creepy as all hell, especially when you start digging into the whole Mila Jovovich, Luke Besson thing.
Yeah, which is true. I adore the film. I rewatched it so many times. I bought it on DVD, Blu-ray, digital, all that jazz.
Yeah.
It was in a summer. It came out in a summer when the cinema where I was living at the time was doing like films for £1. So I went and watched it like 2 or 3 times in the cinema, and went to watch it with a girl for the first time, which was like memorable for me. Which might be filling into my opinion here, but I love the film. I think it's great.
I think it's brilliant.
For £1, I just want to stop you there. What?
Yeah,
man, the good old days, huh?
So Cineworld, the UK wide chain, is doing an IMAX day later in April in 2 or 3 weeks, where they're doing 4 IMAX movies at £2.50 a ticket each for the day.
No, that's good. That's
a
good.
fun day.
They're going to be doing Oppenheimer. They're going to be doing Mario movie. They're going to be doing a couple of other things. But yeah, whatever.
I don't really remember Fifth Element all that much, so you guys choose where it goes. I mean, I've seen it.
John, you're useless in this video. Oh, the first what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You've either not seen it or you don't remember it.
So for me, it defines my 90s, but I'm not sure it defines the 90s as a cultural thing.
I don't feel that it had much. I mean, someone's going to tell me I'm totally wrong, but I don't feel that it had a huge knock on the films around it. We didn't start seeing films mimicking that style or anything.
And they did a pseudo sequel of it called Valerian like a few years later. Or
quite
say
a
a few years later,
later.
25 years later. And that was awful.
It was awful.
I was really hoping for it to be just as good as this one, and it was so bad.
Really wasn't very good.
But, hey.
Highland says there's a lack of Kurt Russell here. Yeah, there is a lack of Kurt Russell here, but
there's a reason for that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in a lot of movies in the 90s. Not many of them were very good. Escape from LA is something we pretend didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Awesome's where it lives, to be honest.
Awesome it's
movie.
Kind of where, yeah. John is useless in most videos. Okay, cheers, Jason. Thanks for that. Brilliant. There we go.
Thanks, Jason.
Oh, dude.
I mean, at least the chat gives me a laugh. Eh? I'm entertaining, I guess. Look at that.
Yeah, that is your purpose.
Hey, I've seen and I remember
John
Fight
makes
Club.
all the thumbnails for this.
All right.
Okay.
Have you seen Fight Club, John?
I have, and I loved that movie. And
I
I remember it, and I remember the twist. I've seen it a few times, actually.
We've missed something important.
What have we missed?
What?
Train spotting.
Well, we've missed it. It's
We've
too
missed
late now.
train spotting, and that was possibly my only opportunity to make John say the train spotting intro. That I've been trying to make
We've had weeks
For the
of
last
having
four.
this while I've been on holiday, and when we've been like gathering the list of these movies, and none of us have nominated Train Spotting.
I don't know if I can do a Ewan McGregor accent, to be fair. I don't even know.
Just do a U accent.
Okay. Fight Club is an awesome movie. Is it genre defining? I don't know, but was it an awesome movie? Yes.
Fight Club's an amazing movie. It was really, really powerful. It's not a film that I'd watch to feel good about myself, but it is absolutely one of my favourite films of all time because of just how good a film it is.
It's in my list as well as like favourite films of all time. It's not one that I go back and watch very often.
Yeah.
Because once you know it, it's a bit like Sixth Sense in that respect. Once you know what's going to happen,
yeah,
it kind of like loses a lot of its impact. I mean, you can watch it back and you can say, well, you know, it's oh look, there's some little clues here and there.
I think the films we're going to put in defines the 90s is probably going to be more of a reflection on us than a reflection on the 90s. Let's face it.
Yeah.
But that's how it goes. I mean, I'd put it right there. In
both Highland and James said we're not allowed to talk about it, so I think we have to stick it in Awesome and call it a day.
All right, Awesome. You not want to put it in defining?
What did it define?
Yeah, all right, okay. That's a hard question to answer, so fair enough.
Yeah, that is quite a hard question to answer. Okay.
All right. Moving on. Harrison Ford, The Fugitive, opposite Tommy Lee Jones.
I think it's not worth your time, but I maybe have a skewed opinion on this movie. I just don't think it's... I think I'm with Tony. I thought it was boring. Like, I don't know. Harrison Ford in the 90s... I suppose you had stuff like Air Force One and Clear and Present Danger and stuff like that. Is The Fugitive the best movie?
Was he Jack Reacher in The Fugitive, or
what?
No, in The Future he was Jack Reacher in Clear and Present Danger.
Yeah, that was it. And in The Fugitive he was Richard Kimball, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. To be fair, James has just made something important.
No, not Jack Reacher. James Ryan, I think.
Oh, no. Jack Ryan, was it? Jack Ryan, maybe. Yeah. And then you...
Sorry, important thing from James Gibb about Fight Club. It did define something because we still all quite the rules.
Yes, fair point.
Everybody knows what you were talking about when you say that. So I think that does bump it up, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
I think it has to.
I feel like in the in the 90s on a Sunday night they always had a crap movie on Channel 4, and I feel like it was always The Fugitive, and I've probably seen it like 5 times, and that's why I don't like it.
I really enjoyed The Fugitive. I thought it was a really good, well thought out movie with a solid story, moving from A to B. I was invested in it from the beginning to the end. It never lost me. I thought it was a quality film.
In that case,
solid film. I don't think it's awesome. I haven't watched it for a long time, and I've got no real desire to watch it either.
Okay. John wants to put it
sort of thing that, like John said, it was on telly. You might leave it on.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't. It's okay.
All right. Should we leave it okay and move on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan Gwynne is just pointing out we haven't got Toy Story on the list either.
Yep. There'll be a lot of things to point out that are not on this list. It's fair. Bung them all in the comments as well, so that there's a record of just how wrong we were in things we've missed out that should be in this list.
Tommy Lee Jones was better for me as well, Matthew.
The live chat is all is all great, but people are never going to see this stuff. And,
yeah, we can. I don't think we can even see the live chat back. Can you?
You can,
but nobody watched
if
it.
people rewatch the live stream, you get to see the live chat.
Okay.
Unless we edit the video.
But only if they select it on. If you
I came out of The Fugitive thinking Tommy Lee Jones was the dog's bollocks, but then I watched him in Batman Forever, and he was just bad.
I like Batman Forever.
I like Batman Forever, but Tommy Lee Jones was nowhere near as good as he should be in it.
Is that not just shitty writing? Because that whole movie was a bit of a mess.
It was all over the place, but that's what I quite liked about it. It was just, in some ways, that did define the 90s, because it was a bit like Alien Resurrection, which defined the 90s, and it was just daft.
Yeah, I mean, those Batman movies were made for a teenage audience, I think, or something. I don't know.
They were made. They didn't want it. They wanted to be less gothic, and they wanted to be more family friendly and stuff. For what they thought the kids wanted. Anyway,
it's better than Batman and Robin.
Galaxy Quest.
It's time for a freeze.
By grab Far's hammer.
I will have my revenge or smite thee or whatever it was. I haven't watched this in so long a time.
Cool.
It's an amazing movie though.
It just makes me sad with Alan Rickman.
Yeah, Alan Rickman was a god. He really was.
I haven't seen it.
Sorry, what?
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Galaxy Quest?
For fuck's sake, John.
You love Star Trek.
Yeah, I do love Star Trek.
And Star Wars.
Yeah.
And the whole culture around it.
Yeah.
But you've not seen Galaxy Quest, which is basically the Orville but better.
I probably thought it was making fun of those things that I loved, so I didn't watch it because of that.
It is, but not in a bad way.
It's showing so much love for those
them
things.
in an "it's so bad, it's amazing" kind of a way. It's so good.
I mean, I've seen all 9 Star Trek movies. Does that count for it? A bunch of them came out in the 90s.
Yeah, some of those were shocking.
If you haven't seen Galaxy Quest, then you've not seen all the Star Trek movies.
Star Trek Nemesis, I'm looking at you.
It's just that simple.
Oh no, Star Trek Insurrection. What the hell was going on in that movie?
Yeah,
that was just 2 hours of nothing.
I've heard. No, was it Insurrection that was?
Insurrection was directed by Jonathan Frakes.
Tom Hardy in it.
That was Nemesis.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, you've been threatened with unsubs, John, for having not seen Galaxy Quest.
I didn't watch a lot of TV. I never watched a lot of TV. My TV, when I was a kid in the 90s, right? Get this. My TV didn't have buttons for a channel. It had a dial like a radio. So you had to so if you wanted to go to channel 4, you needed to turn the fucking knob and try and find it. And here's the thing as well, your TV was on the other side of the room. If something like a train went past or a big lorry, that could untune the channel, right? So you'd lose the channel you're watching, you had to walk across the other side of the room and tune it again. So I didn't watch a lot of TV again.
So we're going to come out of this with a list of films John has to see, basically, is where we're at.
This is what John didn't watch movies in the 90s. This is not going well for us.
I think I've seen all the rest bar 1 or 2.
Well, all right. You said that like 5 films ago. Right.
Okay.
So I'd put Galaxy Quest in awesome, personally, because it was amazing.
It is awesome. It didn't define anything.
It's either awesome or so bad it's good, and I'd be inclined to go awesome.
It's awesome because it wasn't so bad it's good. It's awesome just because
it was.
Because even the special effects weren't bad. They were really cleverly well done.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
And the ship, NTE, whatever it was, not the Enterprise.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. So what we're learning is the Grots need more patron support for a streaming service for John to watch 90s movies. He's got them all already, but yeah, support us because it's great. We all need more stuff. Right, next up, James Bond 007 GoldenEye, the first Pierce Brosnan movie.
Can I take a mild tangent on this?
Yes.
Because I've been playing GoldenEye through, because they've just recently released a remaster.
Oh yeah, they finally got to the point where Rare, who are now owned by Microsoft, can release it on a non-Nintendo platform.
Well, they did release it on the Nintendo anyway. I've been playing on the Switch.
They released it on Nintendo initially, but I think they got around to releasing
it on the Xbox as well.
Now, yeah,
and PC, and it's a really well done remaster.
Is it?
Yeah, it's really well done. It plays just like it did, but it's a bit tuned up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, a little bit smoother.
They've not changed anything. They've not massively. They've not overhauled the graphics or anything like that. It looks like GoldenEye. And it plays like GoldenEye, but just modernised enough that it's actually playable. Because I got my N64 out not that long ago, and it's basically unplayable at this point. Incredible remaster, great game. Actually, playing GoldenEye on the N64 defined the 90s more than the actual movie did.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
I am
with the
invincible. The guy with the clicky biro pen who then
4-player.
died horribly.
Nobody's allowed to play Odd Job because he was shorter than the others, and the auto aim shot over his head.
5 letters. You sit on it, but can't take it with you.
That's good. That good memory, man. I liked the bit when
all this stuff.
she was like, she got ventilated.
Is this the one with on a top as well?
Yeah, Xenia on a top.
Xenia on a top.
That was definitely the
played by Famke Janssen, who was also Jean Grey in the X-Men movies.
And here's a question, right? And again, I've not seen this in a long time, but the GoldenEye was an EMP device, and they had a helicopter that could fly through the EMP or something. That was the
it had shielding that allowed it to be shielded from electromagnetic pulses.
Which is why the fact they blew it up within the first 20 minutes of the movie just seemed weird to me.
So
they blew one of them up to set it off so there was no record of the GoldenEyes existing, but there was a second GoldenEye.
No, the helicopter.
Oh, the helicopter. They didn't blow it up.
They did. They put a bomb in it and strapped Natalia into it.
Halfway through.
That's not. That's when they're in the statue place with all the...
Yeah,
oh, right,
Yeah, so halfway through.
So the big friggin' satellite array at the end of the movie, don't remind me, was that what they needed to use the GoldenEye?
So that was a satellite array that they'd hidden in order to communicate up to the second GoldenEye to give it coordinates to target London.
I see.
They took out the satellite array so that they couldn't communicate with the second GoldenEye. And
they were going to EMP London for reasons?
Because Sean Bean was angry with London because he was a Lienz Cossack, I think they said in the film, who was taken and basically given shit by England, who killed all his people or something.
Yeah, he blamed the British for the death of his parents, but then they took him as an orphan and trained him as a MI6 agent.
Assassin, yeah.
And
006.
Yeah. So you think he dies in the first 5 minutes of the film, and spoiler alert, he doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Spoilers.
I think should we have put a spoiler alert right at the start of this episode, because it's a little bit late now.
Wait till we get to the Sixth Sense.
I thought GoldenEye was a really good Bond movie. It's up there as one of my all-time favourite Bond movies, I think. So I want to say it was awesome, but I don't think it defined anything.
I think it was pretty defining because it was also the first Judi Dench movie as M. So it was very definitely the end of an era from the male-dominated Bond, Sean Connery, sexism stuff. And GoldenEye was the first one to actively say that all the sexism in previous Bond films is bad, and maybe we should not do that sort of thing.
There was still a little bit of it in there, though.
Quite
just
the
enough
degree
to make
we
it
were
amusing.
before, yeah. But they definitely started moving away from it.
I thought Christmas... Oh, no, that was the second one, wasn't it?
Oh, Christmas Jones. Christmas only comes twice a year. That was the thing.
I thought Christmas only comes once a year, yeah.
Yeah, and that was played by lady out of Starship Troopers, whose name
Denise Richards, yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Go on then. Put it in defining the 90s.
I agree with Mark on this. I think it did define the 90s.
There was a lot good in GoldenEye. Yeah, I like the tank chases or the car chase when he was in the tank. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was good.
You don't get that in very many movies. He was just driving through like low bridges and taking them out with the tank, which was very cool.
Ray Fiennes is a good M, but I think Judi Dench was just like legendary. So legendary.
For me, she was a better M. But then at the same time, Pierce Brosnan in some ways was my Bond because I grew up watching the Pierce Brosnan Bond films.
Controversial hot take. My favourite Bond is Timothy Dalton.
Oh, well, mine's Roger Moore.
You're both wrong.
Who's yours then, Tony?
Actually, it's Pierce Brosnan.
Okay, right. There we go. Good.
But again, it's going to be a little bit to do with what you... So what, Timothy
Dalton...
It's
what you grew up.
And that's a great movie. Sean Connery was a little bit earlier. I grew up watching GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies, and that's always going to have that like place in my heart. Even though I think, objectively, Daniel Craig was a brilliant Bond. He played it so ruthlessly.
Oh yeah, he was such a good James Bond. I completely agree.
He didn't have the kind of cheesy silliness that Pierce Brosnan had, or Sean Connery. I didn't like Roger Moore. I preferred Sean Connery to Roger Moore.
But then it goes on the films. Like Moonraker was probably my favourite Bond movie, so then you probably relate that with your...
Right, so moving on before we continue going too far down a James Bond rabbit hole. Oh, that's
Independence Day.
Independence Day.
Yes.
Should we just put it straight up into defining? Or is there an argument here somewhere?
I don't know how to define him, though. I don't think he defined anything.
If I'm evaluating it in quality of film, I'd probably put it in there.
The bit when
Independence Day was not an amazing film, but it was absolutely.
And the plot makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, you got Will Smith right in the cusp of his superstardom.
Yeah.
You got the big today we celebrate our Independence Day speech at the end. It's so cheesy. It's an absolutely awful film.
Can I ask you?
It makes no sense. They blow up all the aliens with a computer virus. What?
What was Will Smith in before that?
Jeff
that
Goldblum
was big.
As well. Yeah. Sorry, what?
Like was I could be wrong here, but I feel like that was Will Smith's big break, or am I wrong?
I think it was the first AAA Hollywood status thing he did.
So would that make it defining in that it put Will Smith on the map? Because I don't know if I know who he was before I watched Independence Day. I think that
Men in Black put Will Smith more on the map than this did.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so Will Smith did Bad Boys, then Independence Day, then Men in Black.
I think Men in Black was not only had all the same things in it, but was also just a better movie.
Okay. I've never watched Bad Boys.
I bet you Americans really liked Independence Day, but for people that are not in America, I don't know if I cared. I thought it was okay.
Fair enough.
I like cheese, but the whole flying up to the spaceship and blowing up with a computer virus thing was just...
With Jeff Goldblum, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love Jeff Goldblum.
It was also a massive commercial success and was huge in audiences' minds.
Mm-hmm.
It's still almost a household name today.
So I don't know if it's... I think it's okay. I don't think it's so bad it's good. I don't think it was a bad movie. I just think it's an okay movie. I mean, I think it's a better movie than The Fugitive. I'd watch it again over The Fugitive.
To be fair, I would watch it again. But then so bad it's good doesn't necessarily mean that it's... looking at Mark's things, it's not saying defining the 90s doesn't make it a better movie. I don't think that Dark City is a better movie than Galaxy Quest. I much prefer Galaxy Quest, but I think it had more of an impact.
Okay.
And I don't think that Independence Day particularly had an impact on anything. I don't think it really defined anything.
Okay, all right.
I think it's just corny.
Okay.
Fair enough. Should we leave it there, or do you want to move it?
Yeah, let's leave it there.
Yeah. All right. That's going to have some hot takes, I'm sure.
Oh, we're not making friends here.
Oh, no, we're not. So, next up, Jurassic Park.
That goes in defining the 90s.
I'd love to argue with you, but I'd have to agree.
I watched it 2 months ago, and the CG in it has held up phenomenally well.
Why?
Why?
Because there isn't any CG in it.
Oh, is it all practical effects?
It's all practical effects, whereas the sequels were CG.
Okay, well, the original has held up really well because me and my daughter watched it all the way to the bit where they have to hide in the kitchen, and she was like, "Daddy, we need to put this off."
Another stellar moment for Sam Neill. My wife tried to watch it once. She got taken to the cinema with one of her friend's sons, and she could never watch it at all ever again. It scared the crap out of her.
I was in a similar boat because I wasn't that old. It was 1993 this came out.
The Velociraptors were scary as hell.
So I would have been about 7 years old when my mum took me to see this. And after we went to see this, she took me to the Natural History Museum, and it was back when they had the T-Rex in the atrium.
Yeah.
And apparently it roared, and I turned around and walked out.
Oh,
I refused to re-enter the Natural History
Museum. And there's that moment with the big neck flaring small dinosaur who spat in the eyes of that Ned guy who was stealing the stuff.
Yeah.
That was horrifying.
This has got some of the best special effects and storyline. And if anybody's ever read the book, because I do love the book, it completely different tone. The book is nasty. It's a horror book.
Yeah, it's Michael Crichton, isn't it?
I'm glad I read the book after watching the film.
Me too.
If I'd done it the other way around, then it would have made the film horrible.
James Gibbs says it does have the questionable age gap between male and female lead that also defined the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah.
It did. I can't fault this movie though.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really good.
For the impact it's had on the world and the 90s,
Put it this way,
point of view it has.
The Velociraptors were a thing, but they're about the size of a turkey.
Yeah, nobody'd ever heard of them before.
They weren't a real dinosaur. They were. They're based on the Indoraptor and the Utahraptor. But because they had a bad name, Michael Crichton decided to call that dinosaur a combination and invented a dinosaur, which he called the Velociraptor. But the Velociraptor was a real dinosaur. It was just a little one like that.
Yeah.
after they found it and they made this movie, they actually found another raptor and then tried to name it after Michael Crichton. Because he popularized archaeology to such a degree that he actually altered like the number of people studying degrees and things like that. It was incredible. Put dinosaur hunting back as a real scientific profession, which is an impact far beyond that of cinema.
JT Money said a few minutes ago this is going to be a 4-hour 3 Grots episode. And
I don't think it is. Actually, we're going quite quick.
Yeah, we're buzzing through them quicker than we might if we were like taking our time to chew over the fat more, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right, next up, Leon, the Professional.
My wife's favourite movie.
Yeah?
Yeah. Don't know why. It's a great film, but I don't know if
that says more about her than anything else, I think.
I mean, there's some weird, kind of slightly questionable...
This was Natalie Portman's sort of like Hollywood big break, wasn't it?
Because she's a child in it, and there's a real romantic thing between her and I can't remember the guy's name. The guy who plays Leon. Oh, that's going to annoy the hell out of me. I should know that.
Wait for somebody in chat to say it because I've forgotten his name as well. And I've seen a load of films that he was in, but his name's currently going out of my head. John, have you seen it, or are you staying quiet here? So, dude,
come on, John.
Hey, June.
It's here we go. Highlanders. It is a bit French. It's a little bit stereotypically French with the age gap there. You know, the whole you can be I think she's 12 or 13 in the movie, and he's a fully grown adult.
Yeah. And the villain was played by Gary Oldman again, I think, was in this one. He was the drug-dealing policeman. It wasn't Rennie Russo. That's a female. She's a lady. He's not a lady.
He's not a lady.
No.
I'm going to look this up. I can't not look this up. I've got to look it up. I should know his name.
I can't believe it. Really to believe it was Rennie Russo.
You guys watched a lot of movies, huh?
When I was a teenager, you don't have anything else to do you?
Yeah.
Watch movies, play Nintendo.
So I was 10 in 1990 and I was 20 in 2000. This is literally my teenage years.
This is So apart from playing a bit of Nintendo, watching movies, and self-mutilation, there's not
Jean something.
Jean Reno, no.
Jean Reno, yes, that's
it's Jean Reno, yeah.
Yep.
That was such a good film.
It was a good film. It's not 90s defining. It's not okay. I'd call it an awesome movie. It's really powerful, really impactful.
Yes, it's a creepy movie because of that whole, again, massively underage
difference. I think when I watched it at the time, I got a vibe where he was trying to take her on as a kind of a father figure, mentor figure, rather than a romantic thing.
Yeah, and I think that was what it's supposed to start out as, and then it kind of like blurs the line and goes.
Maybe she gets sort of like very much sort of infatuated with him as the film goes along.
Yes. And then it just goes very, very because Luc Besson was not there was a lot of Jeffrey Epstein in there, wasn't there?
Yeah. Okay.
And he how many sexual misconduct trials has he been
I was
on?
wondering when that would crop up. I thought it might crop up earlier when we started talking about dubious actors. With Mel Gibson's obviously a bit of a douche, but we got The Negotiator coming up, and that'll prompt this conversation again.
Yeah,
when we get to it. But
because I think Luc Besson defined the 90s.
Yeah,
to make an argument off, but at the same time. Yeah, I do. I just struggle to watch this film because of that. It is really very creepy.
No, that's fair. Makes sense. Do you want to put it in a different slot?
No, it is an awesome film. It's just I find it very difficult to watch.
All right. Moving on then to a Jim Carrey big budget spectacle. John, have you ever seen The Mask?
I have seen The Mask. Cameron Diaz.
Yep.
The red dress. I think that's where the scene from The Matrix came from, right? When he's like, check out the lady in the red dress, right? Supposed to be a callback to this, no?
Maybe.
I don't know that it was, but it was still...
I still occasionally watch on YouTube the scene when he comes out of the park, I think it is, and the police are all there confronting him, and he goes into this dance routine, he sings a song and gets the police all involved in it. And I love that scene. That was amazing.
It's a brilliant film. my parents really hate Ace Ventura. It's not on our list. I don't mind it. But my mum summed it up as Ace Ventura was Jim Carrey practicing so that he could play The Mask.
You're probably right. And the Mask sequels don't count. They were awful.
We pretend they didn't happen.
Yeah.
Do you remember the cartoon?
Unfortunately, yes. It's not a patch on the film still, at least, but it was all right. It was watchable.
I think Highland looks at it the other way around. He thinks Ace Ventura was the better.
Okay, fair enough.
Have you read the comic books as well for The Mask? Because of course, The Mask is a comic book character.
I'm aware they existed, but I never read them.
They've got a real, in the film, it's a family movie, but there are some bits of he's very violent.
Crow, you're forgetting about the Crow. It's that quintessential 90s grungy edgy aesthetic. What, you mean the first film in our Defines the 90s slot? Yeah, okay, so we have that's on.
Anyway, yeah, so the comic books really lean into that. They're quite violent. He's a very aggressive, nasty almost character.
Apologise. I don't mean to be abusive to our audience. I've had a little bit of whiskey. I'm going to have a bit more. So yeah.
Feisty.
Yeah, stuff.
You're channeling your inner Scottishman there after a few whiskies.
I'm losing like self-control at this point. I like to say what I think. Yeah,
I like to think you had some.
I'd honestly put it in so bad it's good, because it was so cheesy and awful, but it was so fun. It wasn't like an amazing film, but it was really, really fun.
Cool, let's put it there then.
Tony, disagree?
I love the film. I watch it regularly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's either so bad it's good or awesome for me. It's definitely nowhere else. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's a great film, but whether you can say it's cinematography or impact or anything else,
I appreciate it's really tiny and it's on your phone and it might be pixelated, so no, absolutely no issues whatsoever. Right, the next one is The Matrix, 1999. I mean, if
my
you guys
favourite
want to
movie
argue
of all time.
it doesn't need to be in that slot, then we can argue it doesn't need to be in that slot.
Yeah.
Obviously, John's never seen it because he's never seen any of the movies on this list.
I've seen The Matrix. I'll probably quote some of The Matrix to you. Mr. Anderson.
Oh, Jesus, James, I've met you, mate. I know. I don't know where you live, but I can find you. Oh.
Do you know what? It's defining just because everybody wanted Neo's phone for because the Matrix came out in like 99, so I was like 15. I swear to God, everybody had Nokia 3210s, and everybody wanted that
one,
model with the flip.
And you could never get one that you press.
Sorry, hang on. I've got to get involved here.
What?
Because it wasn't a Nokia 3210 in that movie.
No. Everybody had 3210s, but everybody wanted they wanted that phone, but nobody had it. Is what I meant. This was trying to say, right?
It was a Nokia 8110, but the thing was that it didn't have the 8110 did have a slidey thing, so that.
But you had to pull it out. You couldn't press it button. It didn't click open. Yeah.
It didn't have a button to fire it out like it does in the movie.
Sure. So
they made that phone specifically for the movie.
I see. But yeah, everybody wanted that phone.
Everyone wanted that movie.
Yeah. And obviously that is the reason why I got a big black leather trench coat. I still have that same black leather trench coat.
It's the same reason.
It's a bit threadbare now, but
I was going to say, is it diminished in any way by movie 2, 3, and 4 being absolute dog shit?
No, not
I went to see movie 2. I think it was 4 times at the cinema. And I went to see movie 3 at least twice at the cinema. And I went to a special showing of The Animatrix.
Oh, The Animatrix was amazing. The Animatrix was so good. The sword practice at the start of that first episode of The Animatrix was like, wow, this is the horniest piece of animation I've seen in a very long time.
I played through Enter the Matrix, which wasn't even a very good game. So many times I could play it on the hardest difficulty straight through without any...
And the Matrix 4, even if you go into it without too many expectations, it's not that bad a film.
I didn't like it at all.
Fair enough.
I didn't like it at all. Like I've already said, The Matrix is my absolute all-time favourite movie. I remember watching it on VHS over and over. I didn't get to see it at the cinema, but I watched it on VHS over and over and over again. I used to rewind it and watch it again.
Oh yeah.
It changed how people view the kind of the cyberpunky kind of stuff.
The music at the end, the way
the music,
shades on and flies off. Screw you, fuck the man.
Absolutely, every minute of that was iconic.
The agent,
the second 2 films had their place, but they went a little bit too arty, and the 4th one can get in the bin. And I genuinely pretend it didn't exist because it completely missed the point of the first movie.
You think that's air you're breathing now?
Yeah.
Don't think you are. No, you are.
Yes.
Morpheus is like Neo. 7 quotes.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Yes. Let's move it.
Okay. We
I
kind
could
of
talk
know this
all
is
day
not
about
a
this
lot of-
movie.
Yeah.
Right. So Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith in Men in Black.
The first one had a very weird villain who was like.
The villain in the first one was played by Vincent D'Onofrio, who's more recently known as playing Kingpin in the Daredevil and the MCU stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, like.
Sugar in water.
Yeah. More.
It had some interesting things, like Will Smith had that tiny gun that had the giant recoil.
Noisy cricket.
Yeah, that's the one. I remember that. Oh man! And there's this line Tommy Lee Jones gives Will Smith when he's trying to recruit him, which is, "People are stupid. A person is intelligent. A person knows things. People are dumb, sheep, and stupid, and will run all over the place." 1,000 years ago, people knew the world was flat. Yesterday, you knew we were alone in the universe. Imagine what you will know tomorrow.
Yeah, an absolutely iconic.
Yeah.
One.
How many sequels did they make again?
Game.
I mean, 2 sequels or 3 sequels?
They made 3 sequels. So Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith were in Men in Black 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And Men in Black 4 had Chris Hemsworth
and the chick that's Valkyrie.
Tessa, what's her name? Who played Valkyrie, whose name I've temporarily forgotten. And they had good chemistry, but I don't think it was a good film.
It was a bad film. That just didn't.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I think Men in Black was awesome, and if you've ever been to Universal Studios, they have a Men in Black ride there, which is kind of awesome.
Is that the one you use light guns or something?
Yeah, you get light guns and you shoot aliens as you go around the ride. It's actually really fun. I loved going on it when I was a kid.
Scream or Blair Witch Project, neither of those were nominated by the 3 of us for inclusion in this list, so they're not in here.
So is Men in Black pretty awesome? I think so.
Yeah, I put in awesome. I think there's a case for defining, but it's not quite there. It's not up in the same sort of league.
I don't think it defined anything apart from maybe Will Smith's career.
Yeah, it's fair.
Highland says it's so bad it's good, actually better than okay. And I would say in a lot of ways it is better than okay. But
yeah, possibly.
So bad it's good. It's generally films that are enjoyable, even though they don't really.
Should I do that and swap them around in the tier order?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. Okay, fine. We'll do that. Brilliant. So, should Men in Black go in so bad it's good, or we're happy in?
No, I don't think it's a bad movie at all.
I don't think it's bad.
No,
I think it's very well made.
About it. Good production values, cool storyline, a lot of chemistry between the people.
Yeah.
It's not a flawless movie.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's definitely a better order for it to be in. Thank you, Highland. Much appreciated. I should have thought of that before.
Okay.
There we go. Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, the very first one that ends with him flying a helicopter down the Channel Tunnel, or at least looking like he does, thanks to the gods of CGI.
Magic of cinematography.
Yeah.
So my take is that this movie isn't that great, but I guess it spawned 8 or 9 more, I think 8.5 more movies of Mission Impossible, which have been very good. I think this is probably one of the weaker ones. I actually don't know how it spawned a second one, but it must have done well at the box office, I guess.
Was so different from the first one. The first one had a mix of espionage and action. The second one went pure action. It was directed by John Woo. Now, all the bullet time and everything.
Oh, yeah. I love
the third one went back to just being almost no action, almost being pure espionage.
I thought the third one was a bit dull.
It was very in-depth.
What was the one that was basically a love story that was like, I can't remember, because there's so many of them that were sort of blurred together after.
Yeah, the third is the one with his wife.
And it's just like 2 hours of love story. The second one, though, is peak Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
you know, we're climbing up the mountain barehanded, you know?
Yeah.
With flowing locks.
And Anthony Hopkins was, this is not Mission Impossible, not Mission Difficult.
Yeah, I think that I would put this first one in an okay movie. Like, I've seen it a bunch of times and I do like it. And I do think it obviously laid the groundwork to spawn the other movies, but there's no part of me that was going like, that was an awesome movie, I feel like. Because the twist...
It's not one that I enjoy rewatching, unlike the one with Henry Cavill, which I rewatch and I think is one of the best films of recent
I was going to say that there's a twist in it, but the twist didn't even ever feel that impactful, right?
No, because you're not really caring that much about the character. So, okay.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
So bad it's good.
Okay.
So bad it's... where do you think?
I mean, some of the bits in it, just remember these coming down on the cable and the with the lasers and the tearing off the face masks.
Okay, all right, yeah, let's leave it where it is. So bad it's good, fine.
Okay, cool.
Not a problem.
All right, next up, difficult conversations aside as to the nature of Kevin Spacey and what he has or hasn't been up to. The Negotiator with Samuel L. Jackson and Kevin Spacey.
I love this movie because it reminds me a lot of Counter-Strike. The video game.
Video game?
Yeah, because it was like you had the hostages, you were in a building, you were just holding them, they're stopping them coming in and out. There was like another plot going on there, but I just like the action element of it.
James, we literally can't put everything in this list. It would be a 4-hour Grots episode quite easily if we put everything in this list. And
there are some things that we probably should have put in the list.
TV series one, rather.
Toy Story, Train Spotting.
I was going to say, you'll need to do a guest episode where James just takes my place because I don't know any of these movies he's talking about.
Yeah. Or we bring James in as well, and then you've got 3 people who've seen the things that you haven't watched, and we just rinse you for another hour and a half.
There's a couple of films on here I haven't seen.
Yeah?
Thanks. And I'm just looking.
So
No, there's nothing on here I haven't seen.
All right, so The Negotiator, I thought was an amazing film. I thought it was one of the best, most tense action films that I'd ever seen. I thought it was really good. I thought the way the characters were, they interacted, the chemistry between Samuel L. Jackson and Kevin Spacey. I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, no, it was. I put it in awesome. I don't think there's anything defining about it, but I thought it was awesome.
I thought it was a good film. I preferred. Do you remember Basic?
No.
What, Basic Instinct?
No, just Basic. It was with John Travolta.
No.
It was slightly later. I know it's not a 90s film, so we can't put it in here, but I just feel that kind of psychological, war-y kind of thing that went around it just did it much better than The Negotiator. It took a lot from it and then did it much better.
The Negotiator also had the interesting mechanic where all the cops that stormed the place, he wasn't killing them, right? He was just tying them up. But he was making everyone believe that he'd killed them or something like that.
Exactly right, yeah, because he wanted to make them think that they meant business while he was really not hurting people that he thought were his friends.
Yeah, so I think it was that was a good twist in that movie as well. I liked it a lot. I think I would put it in awesome.
I think it's a good film. It's not one that I ever go back and watch again. Whereas there's other films of that same era, generally got Arnold Schwarzenegger in them, that I would go back and watch again.
Fair enough. Well, they're coming up later. Meantime, the next thing we have is Tarantino's Pulp Fiction.
Defining.
With so many people in it, and it's hard to put it in anything but defining. You're absolutely right.
There's so many quotes in it.
Yeah. I've only ever watched it once as well. I
never
really found the stomach to go and watch it again.
But I bet you can still remember it, though.
Nobody move! This is a robbery! Yeah. Any of you pricks move!
I'm sorry, motherfucker, did I break your concentration? Yeah.
There's so many quotes in it. Samuel Jackson's wallet that had like the bad MOFO written on it.
Yeah.
The music at the start, that movie actually put that song on the map because that song was nowhere before that movie.
Yeah. And the dance is iconic.
I feel in some ways
all the weird little side stories were all weirdly done.
It defined Tarantino's career as well. I don't think he ever quite hit the same.
See, the Tarantino film that I watched shortly after this, that I remember a lot more clearly, was actually Jackie Brown.
Really?
Yeah.
So I've always had a thing for Reservoir Dogs.
Okay. I don't think I've ever seen Reservoir Dogs. I'm aware of it, obviously, but
it's a very, very good film.
Properly.
Yeah. It's a very clever film because, it's one of those ones, a bit like Pulp Fiction, you never know what's in the box.
Yeah.
Reservoir Dogs is a lot like that because Reservoir Dogs is set just after a heist has finished and gone wrong.
Yeah.
And it's just the aftermath.
The cast is amazing, obviously.
And Pulp Fiction is similar. It's just all those little stories that tie together so fantastically.
Pulp Fiction sort of saved John Travolta's career, and then he did nothing afterwards. Because he was sort of like
Battlefield Earth is not on this list
for some strange reason. Can't imagine why.
But I think even the dance from Pulp Fiction is iconic. So I think it's right up there.
Cool. All right, next up we have a Mel Brooks comedy movie called Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Can't believe you've put this on there, because I've seen Prince of Thieves, but I've not seen this.
Hey, you didn't nominate Prince of Thieves.
I
That's
thought...
on you, mate. You can't put that on me.
Okay. So I'll tell you, I thought Prince of Thieves was awesome, and I'll have to leave it at that.
That's fair enough. Prince of Thieves was iconic. It was 90s defining in so many ways. Not just because of the song, but a number of other things. But Men in Tights was just funny.
Alan Rickman was the baddie in Prince of Thieves.
He was, yeah. I don't even know the names of the people who were the baddies and whatnot in Men in Tights.
I think it mattered, did it?
No.
Because it was just silly. I do remember things like the chastity belt.
Yep. Oh, yes.
And
they were manly men in tights.
But I don't. And I think this is a me thing. I don't think it's a. I don't find Mel Brooks particularly funny, apart from Spaceballs.
Yeah, and then the king at the end in the cameo, he was played by Patrick Stewart.
Yes. I just
very silly. I mean,
it
can't be anything
like Blazing Saddles either. I didn't think that was very funny.
Okay.
I just think the humour just went straight over my head.
All right, fair enough. For me, it's clearly so bad it's good, but
I mean, it could very well be. And there were some funny things. Like I say, I can still remember bits from the movie. I remember the songs. I remember the chastity belt. I remember Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
I
remember the fight with Little John where he says, a roll is a roll and a toll is a toll. And if we don't get no tolls, then we don't get no rolls.
Yeah.
And other silly little things in it.
So I'm sure it was so bad it's good. It's not one that I like. I just don't. I don't get that very very silly humour, if you know what I mean.
Fair enough. Okay, that's cool. You don't have to. I'm the sort of person who likes South Park. Right.
Yeah, that's another thing that I never quite liked. I never really got into South Park either.
Fair enough. Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes.
Absolutely brilliant film.
I've seen it once.
So,
the sword and the dagger written on the side of the gun.
Yeah.
Still...
And the way it kept as much as it could to the original Shakespearean dialogue to take that sort of stuff into account was cool. The music was amazing. The atmosphere was amazing. I thought it was really, really good.
I think it was an awesome movie. I watched it the first time in school.
Yeah.
Because we were doing Romeo and Juliet for English, but
I think we were either doing Romeo and Juliet or the one with how have I forgotten? This is really Midsummer Night's Dream.
Midsummer Night's Dream.
Highland Phoenix says this was a snooze fest.
Sounds like Mark does not get American humour. All right, I'll take your word for it.
Well,
okay.
Well, it sounds like Mark gets the American humour more than I do.
Yeah. All right, so do we put this in okay? Do we put it in awesome? It's definitely not so bad. It's not. I don't really think it's 90s.
It was very high production values, wasn't it?
Yeah. It got awful lot of attention.
It was very well done. It was a very clever film. It was a bit, you know what we're missing off this list?
Go on.
Titanic.
Thankfully, none of us recommended it.
There's a better James Cameron on the movie on this list anyway, so it's fine.
There is.
Fair enough. All
but
right.
we talk about things that are absolutely iconic.
Yeah. Well made.
You can't. Wasn't that the highest grossing film until he broke his own record?
Forever, yeah, until like Avatar or whatever it was.
I don't think Romeo and Juliet's awesome.
Okay.
I think it's incredibly well produced. This is really just a list of, apart from things that define the 90s, of things we like. Do you really like this film? Would you watch it for fun?
I probably wouldn't watch it again, and I last watched it 30 years ago.
Yeah, maybe the not worth your time shouldn't really be here. Because you're absolutely right. We have to like these films to nominate them in the first place. So
I don't outrageously like this movie.
Fair enough.
It's a very good, well done movie, but it's not one that I'm going to go back and watch. Just some of these films are ones that I've introduced to my wife because she's not British and trying to get some like cultural stuff, but not that one.
So next on the list is the iconic Shaving Ryan's Privates.
So I bought this on 4K like 2 years ago and watched it recently, and it's very impactful, I guess. The death scenes like the one where the medic is dying and he knows he's dying.
Is that the bit where he gets shot and you see the water coming out of the canteen and then blood starts to come out of the canteen?
Well, it's when he asks the guy to feel for his liver or something, and his liver's punctured, and I guess the medic knows that that's like terminal. It's like heartbreaking. So it's awesome, but does a war movie from WW2 define anything in the 90s? I'm not sure. Does it?
I think it probably does, actually. I think.
I have never watched this film.
You've never seen Shaving Ryan's Privates? I bet you've seen Shaving Ryan's Privates.
I've never seen Saving Private Ryan.
I was going to say, if you like Band of Brothers, it's basically...
I've never watched that either.
Okay.
I have no intention of watching it. I have this thing where I, as a matter of principle, don't like watching entertainment designed to make money off of World War One or World War Two.
Cool.
So
a lot of people are fascinated.
As a general rule, I stay away from them.
Yeah, a lot of people are like. For me, it's the opposite. I find World War II fascinating, but I don't find it. I think some of the things, like I've watched Schindler's List, and like some of the things that happened are horrific.
I'm aware of them. I know they're powerful. I know what goes on in them. I just don't want to. But then again, they're also raising awareness of things that happen, so it's a difficult thing to make.
It is.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome movie. I think it's definitely worth watching.
I think it's iconic and defining, but I'm not sure it's defining of the 90s, if that makes sense.
No, I think you could argue it's defining of high budget war films.
Yeah.
You got things like Dunkirk and that really did take a lot from this.
Yeah.
But
yeah, put it in awesome. It's an awesome movie.
All right. Next up, we have Seven, Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt.
With a good twist. I mean, that was defining of the 90s. A good twist.
It's a stunningly powerful, good, well-made, amazing film. Absolutely. Is it quite up there with Fight Club?
What's in the box?
Maybe.
What's in the box?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's as iconic as Fight Club. I'm sorry, because apart from what's in the box and a little bit, I remember just the very ending of the movie.
Yeah, I think the ending was very impactful.
Really gross.
It was really clever. It was well done. It was powerful, but
yeah, let's put up as awesome. If you've not seen it, you're going to get a shock at the end. But I don't think
it's worth watching. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but
yeah, okay, cool. All right, next up we have another little movie that nobody in the world has watched called Shawshank Redemption.
This has been rated like one of the all-time best movies or something, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a great movie.
It's an amazing movie. Again, it's incredibly powerful. It's really well made. It holds up so well if you want to watch it today. It's also not a depressing as fuck movie either.
No. And the guy that played the Krugen, what's his name? Is it Tom Clancy? Yeah, Tom Clancy? No, not Tom. Clancy Brown, yes. He's in it as well. You might not know that. He's one of the guards in it.
Yeah. Clancy Brown's been in a lot of stuff. He's going to be in another film we're going to be talking about shortly.
I think this is an awesome movie. Maybe it's even defining of those like twists at the end of movies that just keep everyone guessing. Like it feels like it's one of the biggest twists ever, and maybe that's why.
It's definitely one of the best films of all time, but I'm not sure it's like inherently 90s defining in that regard.
I don't like it.
No?
No. Well, I can appreciate it from a cinematography point of view. It's brilliantly well done. It's very moving. It's a bit like Schindler's List. Incredibly good movie. I just don't like it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I found it a little bit dull.
I was going to say, you might find it slow. Did you find it?
I found it very, very slow. Yeah, I can appreciate it, but I didn't like it. I found it too slow. It's not the sort of thing that I would choose to watch.
You put it on a sort of a Braveheart kind of a level.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine. Okay. It's Highlanders just said no deep impact on Armageddon, and I'm just sort of thinking I can't remember which one's which, and that was always the problem with Deep Impact.
Deep Impact was the one I didn't like very much, and Armageddon was the fun one with Bruce Willis.
They come out like a month apart. If it was like
yeah.
They
and
did
Armageddon
come out very
had
close to each other.
Aerosmith soundtrack.
It was a bit like Arnold Schwarzenegger did End of Days and The Sixth Day, and they come out in like 3 months of each other as well.
That's true.
And they're completely different movies, but the names are so similar, it just gets confusing.
So put it in awesome then. Shawshank Redemption is an awesome movie, but I guess maybe you could find it slow. I guess.
Fair enough. All right, another polarizing movie. The first film, I think it was, or at least the first big budget AAA movie by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Bruce Willis in The Sixth Sense, that made Shyamalan a household name until he made a bunch of other movies, some of which were good and some of which were fucking awful.
Yeah, this is probably his best movie, is it?
No, I think Unbreakable was his best movie.
Okay.
Which is another one he did with Bruce Willis as well, of course.
Yeah.
I can't remember Unbreakable. Was that the one where he was like indestructible or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, he was a security guard, and it turns out that he was indestructible except when he's in water all the way through. And Samuel L. Jackson was this guy who knows all about comic books, and he's very breakable, and the two are opposites.
Yeah.
And Samuel L. Jackson starts the film off by causing a train crash, and you don't realise he's done it in order to try and find someone who's indestructible in the same way that he is breakable.
I didn't realise this, but I've just looked it up to try and remind myself.
Yeah.
It's as part of a trilogy.
Yeah. Oh, what, Sixth Sense or The Unbreakable?
No, Unbreakable.
Yeah. They did.
That series.
They did a film with James McAvoy being a psychopath weird killer who channeled different personalities and took on different physical traits as he channeled.
Yeah, I remember that film, but I don't remember it was anything to do with this one, with Unbreakable.
It had a cameo in the end of it. And then the third film was Bruce Willis, McAvoy, and Samuel L. Jackson all in a mental institution together, I think, or something.
Yeah.
Which I never saw.
I've not seen. I've seen Unbreakable, and I've seen the other one with James McAvoy, but I did not put them together.
Fair enough.
Can't even pay attention.
The Sixth Sense is powerful. It's
I See Dead People is fairly iconic.
Yeah. I'm not sure it's defining. I'm not sure it's so bad it's good. I'm not sure it's awesome. I'd probably put it in okay. John?
I think it was a good movie, but I'm struggling. Like, beyond that one quote that you just said, you know, like, I'd probably seen this movie once in like 1997, so that's like 27 years ago.
I saw it once. And
you were supposed to see it more than once so that you could see all the things that you missed that were the giveaways and all this sort of thing.
Yeah, but I didn't want to because I'd seen it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to watch it again. So for me, it's an okay film. It's worth watching once.
We go with okay?
Yeah, let's put it in okay.
All right. Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock in Speed. Opposite Dennis Hopper as the bad guy, the bomber.
I feel like at the time, right, like if you could go back to when this came out, which was early 90s, I feel like, this felt like 100-mile-an-hour adrenaline filled. This was the best, most high adrenaline sort of movie you could get in the 90s, where like probably. So like if at the time I remember watching this, I mean I would have been like 10 or something, and it felt like the edge of the seat. You know, like, this bus can't slow down, this is serious business, this is awesome, this is exciting. The bus is, like, flying around the highway. Oh, and then there's, like, a bit of the highway that's missing. They haven't finished the highway or something. So the stakes just keep getting higher and higher. I don't actually remember. Did the bus jump a bit of highway or something? I think it did, right?
It was supposed to have gone from a level bit of highway across a gap to another bit of highway. But in order to make that jump, they had to do film stuff where they jumped it off a higher one because they couldn't get it to go up and then down again. So it sort of jumped a gap in the freeway. Yeah, exactly. There's actually a line in this film that I had never heard before this film, and I still use in my conversation today, which is "Have a good one."
Okay.
Yeah. Randomly.
I mean, it was fair. It defined action movies of the 90s, didn't it? Mm-hmm. Everything that came out after this was influenced by it.
I would never have chosen to watch this. I was going to go see another film with my friend. And we'd got there too late. We'd missed that showing, and his dad had brought us to see this film. And they said, "Why don't we go watch this other film instead called Speed?" I'm buying it. Yeah, sure. I don't know. I don't care what it is. And I came out going, "Oh, that was amazing! That was so good! Woo!"
Yeah. So was it awesome for the time? Maybe it hasn't aged the best, but was it awesome for the time?
Based on intense situations never work. Oh, we'll have to base it on sex then. Yeah, okay.
The sequel did not age well.
It didn't have Keanu Reeves in it. I didn't care about the sequel in the slightest.
I don't think I've seen the sequel.
It was a cruise liner.
It was on a boat. Yeah, Cruise Control. It was called. Yeah.
Highland says it was the 90s and Sandra Bullock's big break.
I think Keanu Reeves had been in a movie or two before this.
Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted, yeah.
Excellent.
Point Break as well, I think, was before this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Point Break was before that, yeah.
This was better than Point Break, I think. Point
So,
Break was
I think it defines the 90s for me. I don't know if it defines the
for me
90s
as well.
in general.
go for it then. Defining.
Yeah.
Defined action movies because it was a step away from the kind of muscle-bound action movies of the 80s, Commando and things like that.
You have a hair trigger pointed at your head. What do you do?
Yeah, into a little bit more that kind of like high adrenaline, every man kind of thing, rather than the massively muscle-bound.
Yeah,
I haven't seen this movie in forever, but Jeff Bridges is in this movie, right?
He is. Yeah, he's his best friend. He dies halfway through. Yeah.
Okay.
Pop quiz, hot shot. Absolutely. Oh yeah. No, it's not. We're not talking about Speed 2.
All right, let's go to
Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace, which I am given to understand will be back in cinemas again in about a month from now, as for May the 4th, and its 25th year anniversary from its release.
They're really fucking milking it now, aren't they? Like,
yeah, a little bit.
I don't know.
Are you going to go see it in the cinema? If you could and get away from and have babysitting and stuff, would you go and see it again in the cinema?
I'm looking at it. So it is on in Elgin Cinema.
Okay.
So am I going to just take my daughter to see the Phantom Menace for the first time in the cinema?
Look, Daddy, Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll book tickets.
I was watching this again the other day because I've wanted to watch Star Wars again. So I watched all 3 prequel films, like almost back to back while I was marking papers.
Yeah.
And it's not as bad as I remember it. I remember it being awful, but mostly because I remember Jar Jar being very annoying. But it isn't that bad. In the end, I actually think that I found most annoying was that it was baby Anakin. I found him.
Now this is pod racing.
Yeah, and all that sort of silly shit.
So it's probably so bad it's good because no one can say it's awesome.
No, but the lightsaber fight with Darth Maul was brilliant.
Oh, it's iconic.
And in fact, all of the combat
and the music, Duel of the Fates, to that fight was just perfect.
All of the action scenes in that whole film, the bit where they're like carving through the battle droids, like they're not there, and
so if I rewatch this movie these days, I watch the first sequence where they're going through the spaceship before they land. Then I fall asleep and doze or do something else. Then the pod racing comes on, and I watch that. It's another action sequence. Yeah, the pod racing is great. Then that finishes, and I go back to dozing or checking my phone or whatever. And then I'll wake back up again when they do the Darth Maul fight versus Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan.
Do you know what's
the whole taking of the palace on Naboo and stuff's also really well done.
Yeah.
The one bit that's kind of funny is that's the one time in like all the Star Wars trilogy where they use like force speed at the start to like zoom off down the corridor at like 1,000,000 miles an hour, and then for the rest of the trilogy they forget that they've got the ability to run at 100 miles an hour, I guess.
Yeah.
I also always find the bit where they stab the lightsaber through the door, but then there's some kind of resistance.
Yeah.
A beam of light that I've got to push really hard on to come through this.
It starts melting the door with the heat or whatever the hell it is. Yeah.
Whatever's going on there.
John, I think it's so bad it's good, is it?
Are we leaving it in so bad it's good? I think we probably should.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Next up, we have Kurt Russell movie, Stargate, with James Spader as well.
The best Kurt Russell movie of the 90s.
Is it the only one?
No, he made Escape from LA for a start.
Was that 90s one? Okay.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I really love Stargate. I thought it was a great film. I thought it was fun. I thought it was cheesy as all fuck, though. The way it built up from the initial bit where they recruit him from the teaching and take him to the military base and he puzzles stuff out, and then there's a Stargate. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I did too. But I never liked him as a character. I much prefer Kurt Russell.
Obviously, it spawned many series of many different TV series.
Yeah, see, that's where I'm conflicted. Like, I think the TV series was awesome. I can take or leave the movie.
I liked the movie. I didn't really watch the TV series. I watched them a little bit because it's well-known fact that I'm a huge Farscape fan, and there was an episode of Farscape. It was an episode of Stargate where the characters from Farscape, because they all ended up in the Stargate series, reprised their roles, except that a couple of them swapped around and played the opposite role.
So James has just commented, we have Stargate in here and not Babylon 5 in the beginning. My perception here is that Stargate TV series only existed because the movie did well.
Yeah.
Whereas Babylon 5 in the beginning is basically like a pilot for it or something. So there's a difference there. Did Babylon 5 in the beginning actually have a theatrical release?
I'm not even sure it did.
I don't think it did.
I don't think I've ever seen it. I've seen the TV show.
I mean,
TV show. But...
You could argue, right? Because here's the thing: Stargate SG-1, when they did it, because I'm a huge SG-1 fan, they did I know off the top of my head, they did 226 episodes. It was the longest running sci-fi TV show ever. After that, X-Files was longest until Stargate SG-1 came out. So could you not argue that this movie is actually defining because it spawned the longest running sci-fi TV show ever?
Not defining of the 90s necessarily.
Yeah.
Yes. I know, James. We love you too.
But I don't know. I like I said, I could take or leave the movie. I much prefer SG-1.
I didn't really get into it. I never got into the series. I did watch the movie a few times, though.
Well, I watched the series about 10 times. Maybe that's what I was doing in the 90s, watching SG-1 on repeat.
Oh, there you go. Watching TV rather than movies. Okay.
Seeing a warrior princess.
Oh. Well, yeah, that's a whole other episode.
What was the other guy? Hercules.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember Hercules.
What was his TV show? Andromeda.
So, is Stargate awesome then, or is it okay, or where are you putting it?
I think Stargate was awesome.
Go for it then.
I'd be inclined to put it in awesome.
Put it in awesome.
All right. Okay. Right, we've got to stretch the thing down.
I was watching Andromeda a little while ago. That's really not aged well.
All right. So I suppose the next question is, how highly are we going to rate Starship Troopers?
I was going to say, based on Helldivers 2 taking over the entire internet at the moment, I feel like it's defining, right? Because Helldivers is basically the game of Starship Troopers, is it not?
Starship Troopers is one of my favourite movies. It is so amazingly good. It is satirical. It takes the piss. It's got sex in it. It's got violence in it. It's got humour. It's amazing.
Absolutely incredible. It's got some of the best, like at the time, and even it still holds up today. The special effects in it still absolutely stunning.
I was going to say, it's got Michael Ironside.
Yeah, yes, it does.
Yeah,
There's
put it up
teacher.
in defines the 90s, right?
Denise Richards.
Yeah.
Clancy
Brown. Blokey, who was the psychic military intelligence guy.
Yeah.
I've temporarily forgotten.
I was thinking it was Barney, but...
He is Barney, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've completely forgotten
Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris. Well, I just had it on the top of my
cannot push a button if you disable his hand. Such a good film.
It was on the tip of my tongue, the guy who plays Rico's name as well, and it's just suddenly escaped. When you said Neil Patrick Harris, it just ran away from me.
Sorry.
I know what you mean. And the only other film I've ever seen him in, as well as Starship Troopers, was Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp, where he played one of the villagers in Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really annoying me now. And
yeah, I think Starship Troopers is the 90s what RoboCop was the 80s for obvious parallel reasons.
I think you're right. I think that in very similar ways, they were both those kind of like, they both kind of defined action movies, but also
Casper
that whole
Van
kind
Dien, that's the guy. Yeah, good shout, Highland. Well done. It was spelt slightly differently. It's spelled D-I-E-N, I think, if I recall correctly. But yeah.
Something like that. But it was they defined that kind of like it poked fun at the era that it was in.
Yeah, Rennie Russo. Kind of that's right. Yeah, his name was Rennie Russo. Yeah. All right, cool. Next up, we've got the Super Mario Brothers movie with Bob Hoskins and someone else.
This is a guilty pleasure for me.
It's absolutely so bad. It's good. The soundtrack is awful. So cheesy.
The whole film is awful. It's
Dennis Hopper
in every way.
Amazing. He hams it up so well. Oh, Dennis Hopper was a treasure. He really was.
It's got basically no relation to Super Mario Brothers.
None whatsoever, except that it tries really badly to make it have some relation to the Mario.
Like that bit with the mushroom, that tiny little mushroom.
And the bit with the jumpy shoes that they have with the metal and the rockets. And John's got that face and he's not saying anything. So has John ever seen this film?
I have seen it, but I feel like it was... Like my brain has filed it and it's never needed to unfile it.
Okay.
Ireland's pointing out the Starship Trooper movie, the sequels to Starship Troopers were awful, except for they did a CGI sequel called Marauders, I think it was called. Okay. That was pretty cool. That had mechs in it.
Fair enough. do we want to go back and talk about Starship Troopers some more?
Oh, I love that film. I'm going to go watch it again. I put it on the other day for my wife. That's something. Anything that I've decided that I need to show her to kind of get her to understand Western culture a little bit better.
Super Mario Brothers in this movie, because for me, it is part of the 90s. It was awful. It was shit. It was a video game movie. It's something that I think of whenever I think back to that period in my life. So that's why I nominated it for inclusion in this list.
And it was before video game movies started to get quite good again. And I know
that took a long time.
That took a long time, and because it was a bit like it was the era when you had tie-in video games that were almost always awful.
Yeah.
And then anything based on a game was also going to be awful.
Awful. Yeah.
When was the first sort of really good video game movie then?
I think it was the Terminator 2 game on the Commodore 64. That was pretty good.
There was a couple. Terminator versus RoboCop is one of the best games on the Mega Drive, and it's so expensive now.
I bet.
It's based on a comic book though, and it's a fantastic story.
Okay.
Resident Evil, was that the first one that was good? Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie.
Was the Resident Evil actually good?
It was. And I'll fight you if you say otherwise.
Okay, well, fair enough.
That was Marilyn Manson did the soundtrack for Resident Evil.
I thought the first Tomb Raider film with Angelina Jolie was actually quite good.
It was quite good.
Yeah. Despite being huge amounts of fan service. Had Daniel Craig in it as well.
He did.
Yeah.
As a bad guy, and he played quite a good one.
Bad guy, good guy. He was kind of mercenary.
On the fence, wasn't
he? Yeah. Chris Barry was amazing as a butler. Anyway.
Yep.
We leave Mario in So Bad It's Good, I assume? Unless somebody wants to argue that.
I mean, I would never say don't watch Mario Brothers because you should watch it. So you can't say it's not worth your time because it absolutely is worth your time. And it's not okay because it's such a bad movie.
Fair enough.
Which, I mean, kind of leaves it as the only place it can go.
All right. We got 2 Arnie films up before we round this out. The next one is a little film called Terminator 2.
I think this is the greatest sequel of all time.
Because it surpassed its original. It was a bit like Aliens in a lot of ways, was better than Alien.
Yeah. I'm given to understand that this is also one of the more famous instances of the trailer utterly giving away one of the main twists Cameron wanted to make with this film, which is the fact that Arnie's a good guy.
Okay. I bought this recently because Cameron did that 4K remaster of it, and it's held up insanely well. The liquid metal guy still looks really scary.
Yeah. He's still acting, by the way.
Robert Patrick,
yeah. He was in Reacher season 2.
Yeah,
played a really good villain in that.
Sorry, I've just got to cut in again. I know posterity. This is not going to make a great video, but Highland said we could describe the Super Mario Brothers as so bad it's okay.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong there.
I think Terminator 2 might have to be right up there as like it took special effects up a level.
Yeah.
I think when we've done this, we need to tweak that top layer to kind of like rank them a little bit.
You reckon? Okay.
I think that'll be fun. I think that'll be a fun discussion to do. But let's put Total Recall in S tier first as well.
Not sure Total Recall belongs in.
You have 3 boobs, Mark.
What?
We're talking about things that define people's 90s.
Okay, fine. All right.
In Total Recall,
get your ass to Mars.
He has a golf ball up his nose.
Yeah.
He does.
Like he is they made a set. What was it, like a tracking chip? And the tracking chip's literally this size, and it comes out of his nose. Correct.
So I actually really like it on philosophical grounds, in that the film can go either way towards him being a spy or him being not a spy or him being in the experience or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he just decides to go full on. Fuck it, I'm going to go with this experience, and winds up being the savior of Mars. And I thought that was a really cool.
The bit at the end, you know, when they're putting the atmosphere on Mars and their eyes are popping out. And,
I think it's an amazing film. I'm not sure it's 90s defining.
I
mean, not as much as some of the other films that are on there.
Which is a line now that is used so often.
Marius says Total Recall belongs in S tier more than Starship Troopers, which is also S tier.
Hey,
I'm Donios.
It doesn't deserve it more than Starship Troopers, but it's such a good. I don't know what. Because what's interesting is when they did the remake, they stuck much closer because this is nothing like the book.
Yeah.
The book doesn't go to Mars.
Okay.
But the remake of it did.
Yeah.
It really stuck much closer to it, and it was, but not nearly as good, because this one hammed up the 90s cheese. It was coming off the back of Schwarzenegger in the 80s as an action hero and things like that. Playing the everyman.
Oh, maybe I should have put Kindergarten Cop up here.
Kindergarten Cop's a brilliant film as well.
Yeah.
Because he made that, didn't he make Kindergarten Cop and Junior for his kids and twins?
He may well have.
So he didn't want his kids, because they were quite small at the time, seeing him in films like Predator and so on.
Oh, okay. They're definitely not kid friendly. Yeah,
because they weren't kid friendly. So he decided that he was going to go out of his way to make some films also to prove that he could act as well as just being a big beefcake. So he had to fund a lot of that himself, because they wouldn't believe that he could be comedy, that he could do it.
Fair enough. John, where do you reckon Total Recall should go?
I think it's a travesty that we don't have Jingle All the Way on the list.
Well,
because that movie.
And the only says, what about True Lies as well?
I adore True Lies. True Lies is an amazing film.
Consider that a divorce. Yeah, another great line.
Yeah.
What was it, Turbo Man from Jingle All the Way? I mean, that's iconic. Total Recall is probably an awesome movie.
True Lies has only recently been made available as DVD and streaming, because they weren't sure where the rights lay for a good 20-odd years or so. So it's been a bugger to get hold of for many, many years now.
Yeah. I like this film a lot more than True Lies. But
Apparently they did a True Lies TV series, which is on Disney Plus at the moment, that I can't stomach trying to give a go.
Oh, we did a MacGyver series on one of these streaming platforms, and it's like, if you want MacGyver, just watch the original MacGyver. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
All right, so I say Total Recall should be awesome. John says awesome.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's awesome.
And I say it's 90s defining, but
okay. Well,
but I'm outvoted, so
Ireland reckons it's 90s defining, but you're not on the stream, so you don't get a voice except for we appreciate your input, but yeah, there we go.
It sounds like there's enough 90s movies for a part 2, you know that?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, God, we could have made this episode like 4 hours long.
We could have, yeah. So we're currently on what?
Two hours.
We're going on for 2 hours. We're on an hour 40-ish. Yeah. There we go.
Right, come on, let's rank the top.
All right, you want to reorder the top ones. Okay,
so reorder the top.
Number one, defining the 90s movies, I would say, has to be, and there can be no argument against it being The Matrix.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That sounds like you want to make an argument there. Do you think something else deserves it more?
No, The Matrix was pretty good. It set the scene for a lot that's come past it, hasn't it? I have a real soft spot for Terminator 2, but I guess I'll concede to The Matrix.
I think The Matrix had more of an impact than Terminator 2.
Yeah, Terminator 2 probably just wasn't like I do think it possibly is the best sequel of all time.
If we did another part of this episode, would it be so that we could talk about more movies that John hasn't watched?
Yeah. I'd have to pick all the movies.
Oh, jeez.
So what's the next one? I think it's got to be between Starship Troopers and Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, absolutely.
Steven Spielberg, height of his being Steven Spielberg. Incredible soundtrack.
Out of those two, I'd probably say Jurassic Park has to be the next 90s defining movie on this list.
I think it probably is.
Go for it.
I don't really...
And this is a ridiculous...
It's not one of my favourites, but it does that. You can't underestimate its impact.
No. So what's next? I think Starship Troopers is next.
John, what do you think should be next?
Well, Starship...
You do a lot of talking.
Well, I was going to say Starship Troopers is probably like it's had a lasting impact in that like lots of things have. Helldivers 2 is like the biggest example, which is like so.
Oh yeah, sure. It's an amazing game. It's really popular right now, but it's also a live service game that's been out a few weeks.
Yeah, I've got zero interest in that video game, like none at all. Not, and I'm a huge Starship Troopers fan. I just the whole idea of a live service online only game with grindy thing, it sounds like the worst thing ever. I'd rather cut my own eyes out.
Highland makes a point here, or is it Highland? Yeah, Dark City is not 90s defining; it's too niche. I think I'd I think I'd agree. And I'd want to.
You want to bump it down, don't you?
I want to bump it down. I don't think it defines the 90s, but I think it exemplifies the 90s, if that makes sense.
For me, you see, the dark tone of it as well was really quite. Because, of course, we were just coming out of.
Yeah, but that's more like this is an amazing example of what is currently going on, rather than.
So you think it's like you say, an exemplifies the 90s rather than defining it himself. Okay, then bump it down if you want to bump it down.
Okay, let's bump that down. I don't think any less of the movie, but yeah, okay, cool. Next up after Jurassic Park, do we want to put Starship Troopers there? I'm not sure I do.
I think it's had the impact. I really do. That it defines it like you say, like it defines the 90s like RoboCop defined the 80s.
I think I'd probably put Pulp Fiction next, to be honest.
You reckon?
Yeah, Pulp Fiction did have a big cultural impact. I'm trying to come up with reasons for Terminator 2 because I feel like Arnie wearing a leather jacket, like small script. If you look at his 80s movies, it was all like one-line words, right?
Yeah.
But you still did have a good number of one-liners in Terminator 2. Is it defining for the period beyond that, or is it the end of an era, maybe Terminator 2? I don't know. I just love that movie. So I'm trying to justify why to bring it up, but I'm struggling to find the words.
Highland says Dark City influenced Matrix, which is number one. Yeah, Highland, that's why I put Dark City in S tier to begin with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like everybody I knew had seen Pulp Fiction. I feel like a lot of people like the action of GoldenEye, but then
the cultural impact of something like Pulp Fiction, I think, is bigger than Terminator and Starship Troopers, no matter how good and how amazing films they were.
Okay.
It gets hazy sort of here, really, doesn't it?
It's struggling to put Hasta La Vista, baby.
Yeah.
I would put probably Starship Troopers next, then, if you're after Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
Because it did have that.
I think that reflects more on us.
There was a big cultural influence that they had about the time. The whole the lens on fascism sort of thing that was being pushed.
Okay. Andonios says he's scared his daughter with Jurassic Park this weekend, so that is S tier. I've assumed you're a he. If I'm wrong, I do apologise. Yeah.
What's next?
Probably GoldenEye.
Yeah, probably. I think Speed and Terminator 2 kind of work together to influence action movies. So I think they come as a pair.
You're probably right.
I think The Crow probably comes at the bottom of that. So yeah, I'd go probably 007, Terminator 2, Speed, Fight Club, Crow.
Sorry. Like that.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, John? You're looking at your phone, aren't you? I can tell by the way you're looking.
No,
down the screen.
Chat's on that screen.
Okay, fair enough. So technically, you are looking at your phone. I mean, I'm looking at my phone because my chat's on my phone right now.
I don't.
The Crow was non-mainstream huge, so probably towards the end with Speed.
I feel like I'm struggling to see why GoldenEye is better in any way, shape, or form than Terminator 2.
Better. It's not better.
We're not allowed to talk about the Ed Norton Brad Pitt film again. We can't break those rules. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Fight Club before Speed. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So it's
also going to be base on.
It's iconic. Then this list changes up again.
Yeah, and
it's iconic. Terminator 2 comes right up the top there.
It also probably depends when you saw these movies, right? Because Terminator 2 for me, I believe when Terminator 2 came out, it was an 18 rating, right?
It was, yeah.
So I want to say I saw that when I was like 11. So possibly my perspective of that movie was it was awesome because I'm watching it 7 years younger than I'm allowed to be watching it as well, right?
Okay.
I'm a little bit younger than you two as well, which is going to have another bit of a bearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I remember seeing GoldenEye in the cinema. I sure as hell didn't see Terminator 2 in the cinema because I was way under the age.
No, I didn't see Terminator 2 in the cinema, but I saw it soon after.
I feel like, yeah.
Next time we do one of these, I'm just going to get rid of the not worth your time kind.
Yeah,
of
we're not really putting not
thing
worth your time movies on here.
None of these are not worth your time, are they?
No, but by sheer dint of us nominating them for inclusion, we're not nominating shit that we don't care about. Maybe
Schindler's List because it's so boring. That's why it's not even on the list.
I really enjoyed Schindler's List, by the way.
Okay.
I enjoy that film. It's like saying I really enjoy Philadelphia.
Well, I'd really got into it, right? And the end of the movie is so powerful. I was sat sort of with my thoughts, reflecting, and then Netflix just like threw in like, "Do you want to watch this right now?"
Yeah,
and I was
it's
like,
uplifting as well with the ending. Whereas Seven is just the ending is brutal. Life is horrible. The world is awful. Films like Seven are the reason why I will not watch the Joker movie.
Yeah, I've not seen it for the same
I have
reason.
no doubt the Joker's a really well-made, powerful movie. I do not want to be reminded how shit the world is. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Highland says we should have an on-second thoughts at the bottom.
Category, yeah.
Okay. I find that thing in Netflix really annoying. The way that it shuts off your bloody movie, shoves it up a little window, and so desperate to make you watch the next thing that it doesn't let you enjoy the credits. And
I thought I was in a moment at the end of Schindler's List. I only saw it for the first time like 2-3 years ago, and I was like, yeah, I mean, it's an impactful / sad movie, I guess, right? And I was sat there just thinking, like, I just need 5 minutes to get back to reality after this, and Netflix like, no, do you want to watch this action movie right now? I'm like, no.
And of its time would be too full of a lot of movies,
James. Sadly.
There's a lot of video games that go in that as well. I was playing Resident Evil Code Veronica, and there's a lot of thing at the moment about whether they should remake Resident Evil 5 because it's some people say it's quite racist, and I don't know whether that's the case. But if we're going down that route, nobody's been paying attention to Resident Evil Code Veronica, and that's a game that really would be banned.
Yeah,
that is of its time to a whole new level.
We've got Marius and Highland arguing that Shawshank Redemption is not 90s defining, and they're saying that it's a travesty that we haven't put it up there.
I don't care.
It's fair enough. Oh, cool.
It's subjective, though. It's subjective on what
it's all subjective.
This list is missing about 30 really important, culturally important films, but we wrote the list about 2 weeks ago, and let's be honest, we forgot to update it.
Well, I did remind you all while I was on holiday. I wrote the 25 odd films before I went on holiday.
And then we all added a couple of extra ones.
Yeah. And then they left it because they forgot about it. And I came back.
And then we forgot about it.
We've got to make
I've had a busy week.
All right, movies that we should have had would have been Schindler's List. We could have had
Toy Story,
Big Lebowski, Good Will Hunting.
I don't like the Big Lebowski.
I appreciate the power of Good Will Hunting, but I don't like Good Will Hunting. That's not to say it's not a good film. It's just that I don't like watching.
Yeah, it's just not. It's another one. A bit like that for not for me.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah,
that's a good movie. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
I'm trying to put bloody Lion King in there as well. Then while we're at it, I mean,
Aladdin was better than Lion King.
Aladdin is almost certainly 90s defining.
Anything with Jim Carrey, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
What
John,
year was
this weekend? Get good. Time and comfortable and watch Galaxy Quest for fuck's sake.
What year was Good Morning Vietnam?
Hunt for Red October, was that a 90s movie?
No, I think it was 80s.
Okay.
No, Hunt for Red October would have been. You could have had.
Oh, The Mummy, yeah.
Yeah.
Apollo 13.
That was the debut of Rachel. That was the first thing I saw Rachel Weisz in. Who's now married to Daniel Craig.
The 1995 film.
And Brendan, that was Brendan Fraser's first film, wasn't it? The Mummy.
Well, that was his first film, but
it's
certainly a good one. Right, so we've got to talk about 1995 Judge Dredd.
Oh yeah, we forgot about that.
Everything about that movie fit the comic books so incredibly well.
I am the law.
Sylvester Stallone, who apparently would only be in the movie if you could see his face, and the whole point of Judge Dredd is you never see his face.
Yeah.
So let's take him and put him in the bin, and then bring back 2012's Dredd 3D's Carl Urban, send him back in time,
which was amazing. Such a good film.
One of my all-time favorites. Incredible soundtrack.
Right. I was going to say that's a good idea for a list. Pick like 10 movies and if time travel was possible, which actor would be better for said role within said movie? There you go. That would be a good one.
Basic Instinct. The only reason anybody watches that is to press pause and frame by frame.
James,
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
On repeat for the last 5
minutes. When you're 12 years old.
Truman
Show. Did I just see that?
Okay.
Do you know what would be good as well is Falling Down? Because who has never had that moment when you've walked into the fast food joint and pointed at the thing and said, I want one of those, and you get it, and it looks like a piece of garbage. And you've not wanted to pull out a gun and be like, no, I want one of those, right?
What?
No,
you've not seen Falling Down?
No.
I have seen it, yes, good film.
Okay, so
there's a modern film, a little bit of that, called Nobody, which I quite enjoyed.
In Falling Down, he walks into McDonald's, he sees a picture of the Whopper, he asks for a Whopper, he gets it, and it's very squashed and small. He just pulls out an Uzi. I think he shoots the roof or something and says, no, I want that. And they're like, you got that? And he's like, no, I want one that looks like the picture, you know?
Oh, man. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, Tombstone, that was one of Kurt Russell's better films.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. All right, so we did something. We did some 90s movies.
We did the best of the 90s movies that we thought of in like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
When initially prompted, these are the films that rose to the forefront of our collective three minds, and therefore, if they're not included in here, we three don't care about them.
Apparently, we all don't watch
in this film.
Good movies. Apparently, so
Enemy of the State. Really, that was. I mean, it was all right. It's hardly amazing.
Enemy of the State wasn't worth it. That's not on the top.
I do like Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
I do miss Gene Hackman movies, I must admit.
Cruel Intentions should have probably been on here.
Really?
No.
No, I'd rather watch Barrier Brothers.
No? Oh, fair enough. No. All right, okay.
Lost in Space. I did like Lost in Space. That was fun.
That was
a fun film. There's a lot of fun movies in the 90s. That was a good era for like fun.
Yeah, as CGI starts coming into its own and things start becoming more. Was the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man? Was that the first one? Was that
no? That was 2002, something like that.
Okay. Was X-Men a tail end of 90s?
I think it might have been 2000 actually. X-Men.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe I'll check.
I'm gonna look it up.
Fair enough.
Because I think the X-Men movies was a little bit. It was good, but I do think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The entire reason this episode has happened is because James Gibb has been a long-time supporter of us on Patreon.
Yeah.
And we honour and respect his views and wishes for this video to happen after the travesty that we did with the 80s movies video.
Year 2000 was the X-Men.
Oh, fair enough. We finally sucked it up to make this one, and it's been great fun. We should do it. So
we're only doing this because James Gibb asked us to, and it was an excuse because we wanted to do it. It's so much fun doing the 80s movie one.
Oh yeah, Black Hawk Down. That was good.
Black Hawk Down wasn't 90s. Get out of here.
Really? I have no idea.
It was 2001. Black Hawk Down.
Let's
put Kindergarten Cop on the list. Yeah, that should have been.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, we need to be looking at rolling this, wrapping this up.
We're wrapping on for 2 hours. Yeah. Okay.
So, thank you very much for watching. We're sorry if we didn't cover your favourite movie. We're not that sorry. I'm just honest.
No, that's a fair point. Well, mate.
I said this to a kid the other day, and they were telling me something about their life, and I was like, I just don't care. And they were looking at me like, you can't say that. I was like, well, look, everybody else thinks
that you stood on their teddy. Yeah.
Everybody else is thinking it. They're just too polite to say it. Well, now you've heard it. Nobody knows.
Yeah, we'll be back with Warhammer-related content once we figure out what we can do that is energizing to all three of us, and we can give good stuff to you guys.
We've got the new Tau Codex, so that will be probably in the next few weeks. We'll do a getting started with Tau.
Okay,
that'll be cool.
If there's content you guys particularly want to see Warhammer-related or otherwise, do let us know. If you're a Patreon subscriber or a YouTube member, then we'll actually listen to what you say. Yeah,
and we will probably make it.
Yeah, there's a good chance we will. Oh, Gladiator. When was Gladiator?
I think that's 2000. That's going to be 2000.
I'm going to look it up.
Gladiator was such
it's 2000. We really should have put Titanic on there. If only so we could have dunked it into the not worth your time slot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're almost certain.
Just fast forward to the bit with Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
Drawing me like your French girls.
That bit, yeah.
And then or the bit in the car.
Is there a bit in the car?
Yeah, which is the one that everyone always tries to recreate. So if you're in somebody's car,
is that the steamy car and then
you breathe heavily on the window and then you
okay
down the windows.
Fair enough. Rank the best successor chapters. Are you a paid supporter of the channel, Marius? Oh, I don't know. Oh,
rank the best successor chapters.
I mean, we'd only do that just so that we could rank Flesh Tearers right at the very bottom. Really?
We just do it on principle.
After the chatting, so the Grots see everything we forgot. Right, it's 11 o'clock UK time. We've been doing this for 2 hours. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Very much appreciated. We'll be back on your screens again, hopefully in 2 weeks' time. When
we've got a video coming out on Monday. I've scheduled it, which is looking at the new Tau launch box.
Oh, cool.
And that's why we've got the new Tau Codex to look at.
Sweet.
Okay. Blood far better than Flesh Tearers.
Anything else you want to say, John?
And so has everybody.
Any closing lines of Scottish wisdom?
Choose life. Choose a family. Choose a big TV. I mean, I don't have the script. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
You've had 2 hours to look it up. Bloody hell.
I even sent that to you once, and you still refused.
All right, hold on then. Let's just do it. Stall for like 10 seconds.
Oh, we really need to know what you've been painting. What have you been painting, Tony?
Sorry, what? What have I been painting? I haven't really, but I am working on. I've been doing a little bit of building, so I don't know if this is going to come out on the camera. But this is going to be the start of my new
Warhammer Fantasy,
Warhammer Old World Vampire Counts Army. So I've started tracking down old metal miniatures, modern zombies and skeletons and stuff, and I'm mixing them all together from like Blood Bowl and everything to make a Vampire Counts Army for Old World.
I've not been doing any painting since like the end of January because I've been getting hyped for and playing a lot of Star Wars Unlimited since then. John, are you ready?
Yeah, I want to. What accent is he speaking it in a Glaswegian accent?
Just say it in your accent.
Okay. Choose life, choose a job, choose a career, choose a family, choose a fucking big television, choose washing machines, cars, compact disc players, and electrical tin openers. Choose good health, low cholesterol, and dental insurance. Choose fixed interest, mortgage repayments. Choose a starter home, choose your friends, choose your leisure wear and matching luggage. Choose a 3-piece suite on hire purchase in a range of fucking fabrics. Choose DIY and wondering who you are on a fucking Sunday morning. Choose sitting on the couch watching mind-numbing, spirit-crushing game shows, stuffing junk food in your fucking mouth. Choose rotting away at the end of it all, pissing your last in a miserable home, nothing more than embarrassment to yourself. Fucked up brats you spawned to replace yourselves. Choose your future. Is that it?
Pretty much. Someone said that you did it on New Year's. You didn't do it on New Year's Eve. I did it on New Year's Eve in a very poor imitation of Ewan McGregor with the worst Scottish accent ever, but then not being funny. I was smashed.
We should have just ended that stream on a mic drop as you finished that.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll drop it right now and say we'll catch you next week, guys.
Take care, guys. Cheers. Thanks for watching.
Catch you on the next one.
Ciao. Unlimited power. Oh shit! Wrong videos.